Hello, thank you so much for joining us on Adobe Live today. If we haven't met yet, I am Jordan Danae Ellis, Community Manager for Adobe Express, and we have a special guest today that I'll introduce in just a second. But if you have watched our weekly Get Social videos, which is usually me and Andy Lambert, we talk about online marketing and social media, and we don't talk about design very much because neither of us are designers, which is why I love Adobe Express. But today we have an actual Adobe designer with us to talk about choosing the right template and some design tips for when you're remixing your templates. So now that we know what we're doing today, hello, Heidi Meredith. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you here. Welcome to Adobe Live.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. Very
Yeah. Do you want to give a little more of an
Yes.
intro to yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Heidi and I work at Adobe Express with Jordan. I'm a growth designer and I have a history of graphic and editorial design. So that's kind of my history.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna start today, which I am beyond excited about. Like, I hang out with designers, so I have absorbed some design tips, but I don't really I definitely don't know enough to teach. And I don't really know like why things look good. I just kind of feel it, but I'm really excited. We're going to go into some really basic design principles that anyone can use. Like, if you've never designed anything before, you can take some of these things and start remixing templates. But before we do that, I want to say hi to some folks in the chat. We have Daniela, AW, Paul, Oliver, Andreas, and Cody is in the chat with us today, moderating and dropping links and things. So thank you all so much for joining, and feel free to ask questions. We, have a real designer here today, so feel free to ask any design questions you have that I wouldn't normally be able to answer. But yeah, let's dive in. Instead of doing a deck, we're actually going to, this is a carousel post made in Adobe Express with our multiple pages feature. So this is very fun.
Totally.
Yeah, I'll let you take it over and I will look out for questions, and I'm so excited about this.
All right. We're going to make it interactive though, Jordan. So
yeah. Don't worry. I'm paying attention.
Okay. So these are 8 pretty basic design principles to help you create awesome graphics. And the first one is alignment. As it says, it helps create a sharp, ordered appearance for ultimately better designs by ensuring your various elements have a pleasing connection with one another. And as you can see with this one, alignment, the fresh veg is on the left, and then the smaller type is below on the right. And then that nice line kind of even helps with the alignment between the two type bodies. So that you could do alignment like that. That's kind of a cool, interesting way to align type. You could also align it, everything's flush right or flush left. So this is a nice little example of kind of like playing a little with alignment and how you could have some fun with it.
Yeah, and if anyone watching hasn't played with Adobe Express yet, please feel free to play along with us. And one of the things that I love is there are really basic snap guides. So like if you have items and you're trying to line them up, there will be these like little blue lines, which I think we'll show later. So that's one of my favorite tricks, is like you don't have to manually do any of this. It will help you line things up, which is so great.
Get that alignment right in the product.
Yeah, and that's a really easy way to make things look like just slightly more professional, slightly leveled up. It's just having your things actually aligned. Like, yep. I've heard a lot of designers complain about, just not lining up your things is the base level what you can do.
Lining up your text really makes a difference. So, all right, we're gonna go to number 2. Hierarchy. This one's a big one. Jordan, I want you to tell me where your eye goes first on this example, and then from there, where your eye goes next, and then after that.
So for me, we are open is like the main big one. And then I read top to bottom, delivery and takeout next, and then the address and phone number at the bottom, and then as sort of a last little like detail, the times on the side.
Totally. And that's really like exactly the way I think most people's eyes go. And what do you think the reasons are for that? Like why would you say that?
I don't really know. I mean, base level, like size, like that's the biggest one. And then also, I don't know if it's actually the boldest, but it kind of feels like it stands out the most to me.
The We Are Open? You mean the big?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the biggest. And then even your eye goes up to the delivery and takeout. And that one's also all caps. And then the type below is all, upper lowercase. So,
Oh, yeah, totally.
so there's that. And then
That's the kind of stuff like I love templates for that because
yep.
obviously, like, I got the question right. So, like, it did its job, but I wouldn't think about, okay, it worked because it's all uppercase or like these are the sizes. So, we're obviously talking a lot about templates today, but that's one of the things that's so amazing. Designers who create the templates do that thinking for you, and then you can just like pop in your info, which
totally it's
amazing.
Great. Makes it easy.
Thank God for that. Yeah.
All right. The third one is contrast. And this one, well, okay, what would you say on this example are the contrasting elements?
Colors is usually what I notice first. So like the green and light pink, dark and light, and two contrasty colors. And the styles are pretty contrasty too. Like girls is really bold and kind of, I don't know what the design term is, like it's like roundy. And then the other line is a lot, it's a lot smaller. It's like thinner text, feels pretty contrasty.
Yeah. There's really like there's color, there's size, and then there's two different typefaces that are all contrasting.
Size, totally, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Contrast is a good one. It's kind of one of those ones that, you can, especially with typefaces, you don't want to use too many, but like you can use a sans serif with doesn't have the little serifs on the end, and then some kind of like bold, fun typeface like this. And number 4, repetition. So employ repetition in your overall content strategy by using consistent colors, fonts, and brand imagery to help people recognize your brand. And what is repeating in this example?
The first thing I noticed is my favorite thing, which is colors. Like I love repeating colors because, again, like I think the things I know about design are the things that make it easy, right? So like taking a color palette and then using that for everything is one of my go-tos. So if I was designing this, it would be like, okay, we have the background. Now I'm pulling those colors with an eyedropper in for the text. So that's what I notice. And like the shapes in the background are repeating, not the exact same, but like they look kind of like waves.
Totally. And then the typeface too, it's like, well, there's 3 blocks of text. One is obviously bigger, the order now, but then the colors of the type blocks are all different and kind of repeating the same colors that are used in the background. And then the type, blocks themselves are repeating blocks and placement. So yeah.
Which is another good like trick too, is just use the same font. Like
yeah, for
sometimes
sure.
that works and it's amazing.
Yeah. And like that's like then you're just like, okay, I'm sticking with this font. I don't have to go crazy. But I can do something kind of like repeat, make it bigger, and then or use color.
It's amazing. Yeah. Nice and easy.
Proximity. Okay, this one is a good one. Proximity is helpful in creating organization and design, since similar related elements should be grouped together to create a relationship between them. So for this one, we've got the big save the date, and then we've got all of the other content type that's sort of next to that save the date, right? So it's like the proximity of it. It's like close, but it's also got its own little like design and size and everything. So it's got that like nice closeness, like the bodies of type on the left and then the big save the date. But it feels very intentional, right? Like it's that's the way it's supposed to be. It's like been laid out very intentionally with its proximity. And what else has a proximity, would you say?
I mean, like the design, to the edges and to each other, I guess horizontally and vertically, like everything is very specifically placed. This actually doesn't stress me out, but like this is one of those things that I think like learning the rules so that you can break them is like one of the things I hear designers talking about a lot. And this to me is one of them. Like I kind of never run things off the edge of my canvas because I never know like if it's gonna look good or like a mistake. Obviously this is intentional here, but that's something I don't play around with a lot, but maybe I'll experiment.
Yeah. push that type to the edge.
Yes.
I like it. Okay, and balance. And this was a pretty fun example of balance. I feel like, it's very symmetrical, but there's some variation within the symmetry. What are you noticing, Jordan?
Yeah, I like that there are some interesting things. So like it's very matched on both sides, but not exactly the same. So like the hands are two different directions. One thing that I think is really important is that the words have the same number of letters. Yeah. So if that's just something to pay attention to. If this was a template that you were remixing and that's something you didn't notice and you typed in a very long word, it would not look balanced probably anymore unless you did it on both sides. So that's something interesting. Yeah,
having the type be the same number of letters is important on this one. And then, this is a fun one too, because like the eyes, there's the three eyes at the bottom, but then there's like two of them on the sides are smaller, and then there's the bigger one in the middle. So it's like balanced in a number of ways.
Oliver in the chat says, I like the moth. And Jennifer says, I like that the hands are open with the word open, which I didn't realize.
Totally.
Maybe the designer did that on purpose. That's a really good call.
I love that. Color. Oh my gosh, this one's hard. Color is always hard.
Yeah. Color.
I can tell you, I've had to repaint so many rooms because of color. It's like a gray will look purple in a certain light. Color's hard. So, but it's important.
I love color and I love color palettes, and I don't make my own very often. So I don't know if anyone has played with Adobe Color. That's like a free way to create color palettes. There are also a ton of folks who do this really well. So like Pinterest and Instagram, there are a ton of accounts where people like this take a photo and pull out colors or like just share really beautiful color palettes that anyone can use. So I like getting inspiration for these a lot. That makes my life so much easier.
I use Adobe Color all the time. Like, I love it. It's like one of those things. It's like one of those hacks where you're like, oh, I can like just find an awesome palette that's kind of already been thought through. And I know I want to use orange or something and go for like a color palette that has like this certain orange in it, and you can kind of take some of that like extra work away. So it's always
there are also color palette suggestions in Express too. So that is something you can play around with, which I do a lot.
And we also have our eyedropper tool too.
Yeah, so that's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. One left.
Okay. Number 8, space.
This is my hardest one.
Yeah. I know, it's like taking stuff away to make the design better. Sometimes it feels counterintuitive, but space is very important.
Yeah, I think this is one of the things. So we have a Facebook group, Adobe Express Insiders, where folks share their designs all the time and give feedback. And I think this is one of the most commonly given pieces of feedback is leave space. I feel like it's a very common desire to be like, okay, it's not done if it's not full. And that is like not the right way to think about design. Especially like this one is a meditation workshop, which is like, I imagine intending to give off like a calming feeling. So if this was stuffed full of information and assets in the background and like different colors everywhere, that's not very calming.
No.
And then, I guess you could do the opposite if you were doing like a punk show flyer and you want it to feel like a lot of energy. You could fill all the space. So like thinking about the content as much as the design, I think is really important.
Totally. Yeah, and I think that's a great example of like the content of this meditation workshop should feel airy and have a lot of like room to breathe, as you will. Yeah, and then the spacing within, the type blocks and even that nice little circle every Wednesday at 7 p.m. It's like that's got some space in the middle and around it. So this is a nice spacey example.
Before we move on, so I don't know if you have any like further things to talk about negative space, but Cody says I have a hard time with negative space, and Rayson asks how much space is too much space, and I'm very glad you're here because I don't have answers.
How much space is too much space? I mean, I think it depends on the content of what you're creating, and then I also think, there's like, even with this example, right? So the meditation workshop, in terms of like spacing out your typography, like the meditation workshop hosted by Laura, like that's got some significant space between it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's intentional because, you could put that hosted by Laura like right up underneath there, but that feels a little tight, right?
Yeah.
That would make that whole poster feel different. And I think the way this one reads is like, okay, you've got the meditation workshop, you've got that nice big space between hosted by Laura, and then that secondary kind of informational type at the very bottom. And the space between the workshop and hosted by Laura is slightly bigger than the space between Laura and the type below. And I think that's like, just the way that breathes for me, like feels very like intentional, because you have this, honestly, like even the space of reading it between the meditation workshop, pause, hosted by Laura, and then you're like, okay, and this is, I can tell this text below it is like the kind of more information kind of text. So I think it's really, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that's one of the hardest things for me about design is there are like rules, like obviously we just went over 8 suggestions or pillars to think about, but there also aren't rules where it's like, what do you want it to feel like? So like you said, if you moved that middle line up, it wouldn't be wrong or bad, it would be a different feel. So I feel like a lot of it is just like trying different things and seeing what it feels like, which is my nightmare. Like I like when there's just a right answer. And that's just part of designing, I think, is being comfortable with that.
Totally. And I think that's one of the, like we were talking about, the great things about our templates is you can get in there and mess around, and kind of like what we're going to do when we go in our next section is like keep the bones of stuff. Like say you did want to use this for, some other kind of workshop, but you would keep the bones, change the type, change the color. Maybe it's, for your, maybe it's not a meditation workshop, but it's an online sale or something, how would you like, maybe the typeface could be the thing that you change, and the color, and that would kind of change the feel of it, but you could kind of keep the bones of the templates and remix it for what you need.
Yeah. Before we move on from this, Sean asked if we can see the grid view of all of this carousel together. Do you mind going into that? And while you do that, we
do have this on, it was on Instagram, right? Once upon a time.
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure if they reposted it, but yeah, this is on the Adobe Express Instagram, so you can go through. This is also available as a replay, so you can watch this as many times as you want, screenshot it. But I'll try to share this on my socials too, so folks can find it easily. Carmelite Quote says, in this design, the meditation design, the space reflects the content or the client's theme, which is totally true. And beautiful. Yeah, so if you want to take a screenshot of this to see them all together, the next thing we're going to do, exactly what we've been talking about, is templates are very easy. Oliver says the link to it on Instagram is in our description. We did do that. Yay! A+us, so you can find this on Instagram easily. But templates, are very easy, but they do genuinely take a little bit of like practice to figure out exactly how to choose the template that fits your project, or how to think about choosing templates, and then how to remix them while still, like you said, keeping the bones. So what we're going to do is go through, I think a really common way to look for templates is to look for the theme. So if you're looking for like a baby shower invitation, you search for baby shower, which you can do, but you can also search for invitation, and it can be a totally different topic. It can be a wedding invite or a birthday invite, and then just changing like the fonts and the colors and the design assets is a really easy way to do it. So you can look at all the things we've been talking about, a template that has like the alignment you're looking for, or the type of information that's already laid out beautifully that you can just pop out the address and stuff. So we're going to do that now, showing how to take a template for I think a pool party and make it into a fall thing. Is that what we decided? Or a summer template?
Yeah, so we have, I think we sent out this guy, right?
Yeah.
So everyone
and Cody maybe has, if you want to play along, Cody maybe can drop the link to this, or if not, I can drop the link to this. I can't remember if we gave it to her or not, but you can play along if you want, or you can choose any template that you'd like and play along with us live, or if you're watching the replay, which is great. Yes.
I think for me, like when I choose a template, and this is totally personal, but I kind of, if I'm going to remix it, I definitely look for like graphic elements that I think I can replace. If I'm going to update something, I love our design assets. They're like my favorite thing. So I love to replace those graphic elements because we have so many amazing design assets. So for this one, we picked
so many different styles too. So like styles. There are, black and white, like brushed out assets. There are really thin lined assets. There are like pencil drawn. There are photo real. There are like clip arty, all kind, like bold styles, all kinds of things, which is very fun. And yes, the link to this template is in the video description. So you can play with this one if you want, or you can, play with any template.
And okay, so we were saying like you had your summer pool party, right? You sent out your flyer, and now you really liked this template, but it's fall and it's time to have your autumn open house. But you're gonna use the same template that you used for your pool party, but just remix it for your autumn open house.
This is also a life hack that I use literally all the time. If you watch our other Get Social videos, you know that like I have a library of favorite templates that I just use on repeat. Because for me, sometimes, especially if I'm trying to do something quick, which I'm sure lots of people watching are content creators who are just trying to make a million YouTube thumbnails or Instagram posts or whatever, I can just go and be like, I already like this. I know I like it. I know how it works. I'm just going to swap out the info, colors, and like call it a day.
Have your little library of ones you go back to all the time. I'm also going to duplicate the page so we can see the original.
Before and after. Then, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So first thing, just so we can remember what we're doing, I'm going to say autumn open house. Is that what
let's do it. Okay. Perfect.
Whoops. Okay. And I'm going to just leave the typeface how it was for now, but just so we remember. Because I like to just get those design assets in there right away. Because
I think that's nice. And then that get like, they're the biggest. I mean, talking about hierarchy, like that's the biggest part of this template. So like that will really make the feel of the whole thing. We have a comment in the chat. I think the important thing is to make the template easy to understand and match with the subject. Totally. Like if it is editable to be what you need it to be, that's perfect.
Yep. So for this one though, I'm gonna, since it's our autumn open house, I'm gonna look for the autumn leaves, because it's kind of a perfect little asset to add to this open house. And one of the things I try to do, if I'm going to do like 3 different pieces, or could be 4 or 5, whatever we decide to mix into here, I'm going to look when I go through these design assets for kind of a little bit of like a matching set. Like these guys all kind of
Yeah, I like that a lot of times they're together.
yeah.
So you can see what the options are, or if there are things that are there's more than one, so you can pull something all together.
Yeah, and like these, they're a little too tropical feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Fall.
Yeah, we have 2,000 leaf results, so we'll definitely be able to
Whoa.
find something that we want, which is great.
Oh, but these are cute. They're kind of like watercolory and have a nice color. I'm just gonna throw
Those are
one.
beautiful.
Yeah,
While you're searching, Sean in the chat says, whatever happened to the autumn pool party? Did too many people fall on the ice? Thank you, Sean. I mean, autumn pool party, that's depending on where you live, that's actually kind of possible. Not for me, it's cold here, but
autumn pool party. I mean, I'm cold just thinking about it.
I know my Miami friends can do it. I'm so jealous.
And I'm just gonna take these little guys out.
Yeah, we can like mentally remember where they are, so that's good. But sometimes I don't. Sometimes I hit replace, or I like leave it there, put it over, and then delete if it's somewhere very specific that I want to like make sure I put it in the right place. These are so cute. I love this. I love this watercolory feel.
I'm just gonna like try to mix these a little bit around. I'm gonna actually flip this.
This is a fun thing too, where even doing this exact same thing, which I would love if anyone is remixing this with us, I would love if you shared and tagged Adobe Express on social or share in our Facebook group, because I think even like one of the challenges we've done in our Facebook group is taking one template and having everyone remix it and seeing how different it looks, even starting from the same place, I think is really cool. And even just looking at all the different leaf options, even if we all remixed it using
leaves,
it could be a totally different look. Like some of these, are really tropical. Some of them are black and white. Some of them, like these are watercolory, but some are like really have, stark edges and outlines. So
yeah,
I think that's a really fun thing.
Or you could do like, maybe you don't want to do leaves. You're like, I'm doing pumpkins.
Yeah.
Just gonna remix with pumpkins, or whatever you feel is whatever says autumn to you. Okay.
Yeah. And we had a question. This is Adobe Express. So when we were looking through the carousel post, that was all made in Adobe Express. This is Adobe Express. So all of these design assets are here for us. Like you don't have to make all of these yourself. You don't have to go license assets from other places or like stock assets from anywhere. These are all right here ready for you to use, which is, I think, like a not secret, but a superpower of Express that not everyone who even has like the Adobe Creative Suite knows that we have all of these things here. So if you haven't checked it out, like please do. There's so much to look at, and there's a lot free too. So as you're scrolling through, you can see like the assets with the crown are for premium accounts, but everything without that can be used totally for free. So you can play around for free forever if you want. And
I'm just using free assets.
Yeah. So. Right. So this is great. All of this is really great.
I'm gonna first now I'm like, okay, these are nice little elements, but this sandy background is just not right.
Yeah, that's very summery.
So I'm gonna replace. And what kind of I was kind of thinking like these are watercolor. The background with the watercolor can sometimes get a little like you have to pick the right background, I think.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking like a papery texture.
Yeah, this is my favorite. I love collages, and I think maybe the reason I do is because I am not a designer. I like taking things that are already designed and putting them together in an interesting way. But I think that digital collages look so cool too. And so I use like our paper backgrounds and like post-it note assets all the time. Also, I have to call out General Kenobi in the chat just said, I don't like sand. I don't know if you're a prequels Star Wars fan, but that's one of my favorite lines from any movie ever. So yes, we don't like sand here. It does get everywhere. It's coarse and rough and we hate it. So that. Yeah, that's really cute. I like the
Yeah, this
paisley.
it's
Yeah.
kind of cute. All right, and but we've got like the typeface. We got to find something more autumn feeling. And look at these font recommendations. Love it. What screams autumn to you, Jordan? What kind of type do you feel like it's like is autumn
Mm,
heavy or is it more?
I think, well, one, these assets are very light. So I think I kind of like the bold. Like this is
Yeah.
maybe too bold, the one we have right now. And that one looks very Halloween-y, which is not quite the vibe we're going
Right.
for, but it looks
Yeah.
very like vampire-y.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
we could
maybe something, yeah, maybe
I love
something
the font
like,
recommendations too, because it's like the colors you can kind of jump off.
yeah. It's also really nice. This we have a kind of solid background, but you can see it does pull in the background too to the recommendations. So like if you had something more chaotic happening in the background, you can see what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay,
These
this
fonts are my hardest thing to pick if I'm being honest.
fonts are hard. There's no question about it.
Oh, I like,
Yeah, that
perfect.
is pretty
That's
good.
the one I like. Yep.
All right, now let's do a little adjustment on it though.
Yeah, if this is your first time seeing Adobe Express, so that was the font recommendations down on the right, but then I think, are you about to go into like the spacing?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little
Cool.
spacing
Yeah, that's
right
an
here.
option over here. You can do letter and line spacing, which is
I'm gonna bring it up.
great.
Yeah, so it's more like a solid block. And then keeping the basic like centered type. I'm gonna keep these little dots because they're cute. And then I'm gonna change this typeface.
Yeah, that doesn't work anymore.
No. What's this called? Quinto Sans Black. So we could go and have these match, or we could see if there's like another one that is complementary.
Yeah.
To that guy.
I also love that it's all one text block, so it will all change at once, which is
Totally.
great. I kind of like the one in the middle, like the lighter one.
This guy?
Yeah,
This guy.
that one or the one below.
This
Either of
one?
those.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Oh, that's pretty
I don't
light.
know. Yeah, that's maybe too light. That's hard to read.
Maybe that one? Let's see. What is this guy called? Maybe, let me see. I'm just going to see if there's.
Sometimes I also, again, because I do all of the like non-designer tricks, sometimes I use the exact same typeface, just italicized, or like one is bolded, one is not, because I'm like, you know what? That's
totally
that's
valid. Honestly, that's probably what I would normally do too.
Yeah, so that's a trick. Anyone feel free to use my cop out, which is use the exact same thing, just a different version.
I'm just gonna try to play with the contrast a little bit on this. And since we have this sans serif and then pairing it with a serif, which you don't have to do, you could use the same one. One thing that might be nice is if this one was all in like upper lowercase instead of all caps.
Yeah.
But I'd be like writing it all out. So oh, but it's not gonna be a pool club. It's gonna be Jordan's house.
That's true. Yeah, party at my house.
Oops. Your Texas house.
Yeah. Could definitely we could have an autumn pool party if I lived in Texas.
Yeah, I know.
My actual West Philly house could absolutely not. Oh yeah, we have to change
July. Just gonna see how that looks. Make it a little bigger. Oop, and that spacing is really funky now. So
it is kind of interesting. There are times where that is really jarring when you change the font. You're like, oh my god, this spacing is so wild because it works for the other one. It totally doesn't work for this one.
All right. I mean, you know, it's getting there.
Yeah. Sean had a question in the chat, which is a great call. is our background okay, it is added to background.
Yes.
If we didn't, we could use the multiply mode to like bring in some of the color from the background to like, you know, make it be a little warmer if we wanted.
Yes, I
That's
was actually gonna see if we wanted to.
yeah. There's
look
so
at
many ways you can do this, which is yeah, you can edit it right in there. I use this is probably like not the best way to do this. I use the duotone feature
Oh yeah,
all the
that's a
time.
great.
That is like that is my
Let's do it. Let's
Express
see what.
go-to.
Ooh, what's happening over here?
Wow. That's not great.
Yeah. Lighten, grayscale. I mean, grayscale is actually kind of nice too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many things you can play with, which is great.
Then we can also change the color of the type too if we want to like go crazy. I'm gonna put it with lighten. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I think that's great. I would be so happy if I got this.
So cute.
If I got this invite in my email or
And
via text.
we've really kept it like the basics are the same, right? So
yeah.
The basic layout. We
Well,
added an extra leaf.
Right. Let's do a little side by side or
yes.
scroll back, whichever. Yeah, so like I think, you know, this is it's a completely different feel, completely different season, but my favorite thing where starting from scratch on a project is like my nightmare. Everything was already decided. So like how big the font is compared to the design assets and how everything is laid out and the little circle of the dot elements, like everything was already there. We just tweaked the things that we liked, which I think is great.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this off the side. Anyway, yeah, I think that's true. It's just like keeping the bones and, you know, we can keep messing with this one, but we have like a basic sort of idea of what we're gonna do. And I think that's good. Should we do another one? Like remix for the next?
Let's do a winter one just to show like how many options there are with the same template. Because again, I do really think this is like the superpower of Express it is obviously like if you want to design something from scratch, you absolutely can. And you can also use like the Pro Tools. You can use Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop to do things from scratch too. But what I think is amazing is that if you want to do something very quickly, like even if you can design something from scratch, I mean, for me, doing that would have taken 2 days if I had to do that. And I would have had to like draw all these things myself or pull them from somewhere and make sure I had the rights. And like, it's just so nice how easy this can be.
Yeah.
If you just want to do something quick and easy. Yeah. Oliver asked if we're doing a winter pool party. That would be ice skating or polar bear swim. Totally. Let's do something that's making me cold. Let's do something cozy.
Yes. All right. What should we do?
Let's do like the opposite of that. Let's do like a cookie exchange or like a
cookie exchange. Cookie. Oops.
Or holiday cookie exchange if we want to do 3 words. Oh, someone asked about Catherine asked what set it to multiply means. So do you have I have like a fake explanation for this, but do you have an actual design explanation of what multiply and
like all the filters?
The other one. So if you click on the background here, and then if you unclick add to background in the middle, it'll give. So under where it says normal, there are different. So right under add to background, the drop down menu where it says where it says normal in the very center on the right, you can do multiply or screen. I don't have the design definition of what those are, but I know that they like kind of merge with the background.
Yeah, so it's like a multiply, I think, is where like for this one, if you put it on multiply, see it kind of like you still have the textury part, but it kind of multiplies. So you have that texture, but the color, you're really using the color of the background as like, so if you change the color of this background, it would change the
both layers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then if we did screen, it lightens it, so it's like multiply kind of, but they both will react with whatever that background color is. So if you like wanted to really mix it up, like I think that's why the duotones are doing what they're doing, is they're kind of like oops, oh, they're not messing with the background. But
I think if you click into the background color, then you can change.
Yeah,
Which we could do if we wanted. We could make it like a blue or something for our
our cookie.
Okay, so Sean says multiply removes whites, screen. Wait, multiply removes whites, screen removes whites. I think one is dark and one is light, right?
Yeah, screen kind of makes it lighter and multiplies kind of goes darker, and they react to the background or whatever color is behind it. So it's kind of like a filter.
Yeah. But you can choose. Yeah, Rebecca says in Photoshop they're called blending modes. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, think of it like that. Okay, so I'm taking those off. Our cookie exchange is a little bit bigger.
Oh, screen removes blacks. Totally, yes. Thanks everyone. I'm glad we have
so many.
Glad we have designers here in the chat. Yeah, and it sounds like that is, which I don't know very much about Photoshop, which will not surprise anyone, but it sounds like that's a very common Photoshop thing. So folks who are more familiar with that may have used that before.
All right.
Cute.
I mean, I feel like this one's the cutest. Maybe?
Yeah. I think I know a lot of teachers use Adobe Express. I feel like the other ones look very cute for like an elementary school bake sale, but we're having an adult holiday cookie exchange. So I think
these are adults.
This is great
at this party.
Yes.
So this is cute, and it's got some like photographic elements to it, right? Versus just the graphic pieces.
Yeah, this is really cute. And like that's again something that I don't feel super confident in doing those sorts of combinations myself. Like if I had to pull this photo and then separately pull a frame and then separately pull star shapes, like I don't know that I would think about that. So I love that it's already here and done, which is great.
Yeah, totally. It's super cute. Like you'd be stoked to have made that.
Yeah,
So
and I didn't have to, which is great.
Right. One of my favorite design assets is to put in sparkle. So there's like
if anyone is in our Facebook group, I use sparkles and stars all the time. That is absolutely my go-to.
Yeah, and they're a little hard to see, but I'm trying to go for like some gold,
a dusting of
like maybe that's not the right gold, or is that the right gold? Maybe a little like.
I mean, we can pull in a couple and then
let's look at
see which one we like.
Is that the same one? I'll probably put the same one in. Oh, that one's got a little different. That one's
sometimes like I like layer them too, depending on what I need.
Yes.
Oh, Sean loves lens flare. That's a good one. Bedazzle, yes. Cody says I love sparkles.
Look, I like this little sparkle.
That kind of looks like snow too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like it's not too much.
Yeah.
You could even. I also like it when it's like coming up. Who knows? Maybe this.
And you can also, I don't know if this would look good with a blue background, but you can like play with the opacity too if you want it to be not quite as bold. And sometimes it looks crazy when you do that. This actually kind of works. So sometimes I try it and I'm like, absolutely not. Put that back.
Cute. And then one of the cool things about this little graphic is these stars. Like we could go back in here and look for some stars that match and play around with that.
Yeah. I think I really love how many options there are, and like there are some that are already kind of clustered. There are some singles, and if you want like a basic star shape that is like the, you know, the shape, you can go into shapes too, but we're looking for something a little more designed, which is fun.
Yeah.
Some of these look like fireworks, which is cool depending on what you're looking for, or like shooting stars.
I know, there's so many fun stars. I'm gonna actually, because I can tell these colors are slightly different though. Whoops. Use our eyedropper tool.
I was gonna say that's my go-to for sure. I love that thing. What a lifesaver. What a lifesaver it is.
Really. And I'm also going to arrange these so the sparkles are on top of the star.
Cute.
Sparkle. Oh yeah. Did you do it? Oh yeah. Let's get him a little bit more on there.
Oh, Cody is currently eating some cocoa holiday cookies that she made yesterday.
He's ahead of the game.
Extremely jealous.
All right. We don't know about those yet. We'll let him sit there for
Sometimes
a second.
I don't know. I've like angled them on the edges too. I don't know if that'll help at all.
Just maybe a little smattering.
Yeah.
We'll see about these guys. They may stay, they may not.
And that's like the thing that's great about this. You can, and you can also, if you wanted, if you're really not sure, you could duplicate this page and do 2 different options side by side. I tend to not really care enough to do that most of the time, but if you're like really serious about something, you definitely can. So you can look at it side by side, or like ask, you know, for feedback of 2 next to each other, and then you can just go with the project that you choose, which is great.
Yeah. One thing is I kind of think, well, unless we're trying to keep the bones though, I'm actually going to delete these. And this was always on the right hand side, but this feels like it might want to be centered.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about templates. You can play with them if you want.
Yeah. We can add more little stars.
Someone in the chat is suggesting making our image bigger. I don't know what that would look like. Play around with it and see.
Yeah. Make it. It could be like that. Everything could be centered.
And again, like, you know, that's changing part of the template, but it's still not like a drastic overhaul.
No.
Which is great. And again, you totally can do a drastic overhaul if you want. Just if you are unsure about, you know, design and really looking to like work off the expertise of other folks, templates are a really nice way to be able to do that, which is something I do all the time. Like even the thumbnails for this YouTube series are all templates where all I have to do swap out our pictures and the title, and like that's the amount of designing I want to do. So that's great.
Templates are amazing. Okay. I'm gonna stop messing with this for a second and look at our type.
Yeah, that might change the whole look of it, honestly. So that's a great call.
Jordan, what are you feeling for this type? Feels like
I want to do something like the ones we've chosen so far have been pretty, I don't know if safe is the right word, but yeah, bold and like standard. Like let's do something a little.
I feel like it wants some serifs. It's got like that like.
Oh, I like. Yeah. I kind of like that one. Yeah. I don't know if that.
Maybe a little bolder.
Yeah. Maybe the one at the top.
It's kind of cute.
We can keep looking though. Actually, too, if you click the, I think it's technically called the wave, but the squiggly lines, it'll show you other things that are very similar to it. So this gives us a bunch of options.
Oh my gosh.
That look like that one.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's nice. It's got a little more like oomph. Okay, and you know what? I think maybe we do the same. What do you think? But the other time we tried to mix and match fonts. Let's try
Let's
it.
do
See
it.
how it looks. YRSA medium. Good. Let's do it. Let's see what it's like. Oh, yeah. Small. It's small.
Yeah, it does feel small. Make it a little bigger.
Yeah. Make it a little bigger, and then I think the spacing is getting funky.
Yeah, that is something that I do forget to look at sometimes, and it really makes a huge difference. So especially when you're changing fonts, check out the spacing, because you might have something that is just totally
Not
set for a different typeface that you did not.
I'm gonna make now. I am gonna make this a little bigger again. And I feel like this blue, we didn't really think about it. Let's pick a different.
Yeah.
Like a darker blue.
We can change the font color too, because we haven't.
Yes, let's just change the font color.
Cody says make it pop.
Make the logo bigger.
Yes, yes, yes. All of the things we love.
All right, I'm just gonna.
I
like this like deep blue. And what if we use our handy little eyedropper and try to bring some of this gold?
Yes. Yes. And then you can see, yeah, when you click in to the color, you can see that there are some suggested colors based on our current color palette, which is nice if you knew you wanted to use something that is already here. That's great to have, but and it will like refresh that for you. So now it has added the color you just chose, which is great, to our current color palette. So you don't have to eyedropper it all the time.
Yeah. Okay, let's make sure these are all lined up too. We got this handy guy.
I have never used that button before.
Oh, you haven't? Oh.
I didn't know that was a thing we had. Did everyone else know this? I've never used that.
Oh
That's
my gosh,
amazing.
Yeah. Align. It helps you with your alignment.
Oh no, I just use the snap tools and it's not, oh, man, that's so much easier. Well, I learned something. Thank God for you, Heidi.
All right.
But even that, it's like lining up with the stars, which you may not necessarily care about that. But like we had folks asking about snap grids before. Like that is where they come into place if you like can snap things related to oh yeah, and a great call from the chat. Alan says, do you ever check the color contrast of the text to the background to make sure that it is like an accessible color combination that people can see if it's clashing colors, which is great. I know there are websites that will do that for you too. And then another suggestion from the chat is to use some shadow behind your text to make it pop, which you can totally do. I know that's one of Katrina's go-tos that I always forget to do, but she always yells at me to like make my text more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many fun things. Like these are just like basic, take a template and you can like run with it.
You can add shapes behind it. You can do outlines. You can do shadows. You can do all kinds of things. Oh, Sean says that color.adobe or Adobe Color does the accessibility coloring.
I think I know Sean.
We love Sean. Okay, so yes, this is our lineup of
different little our third one's like a little we definitely like mixed it up and centered everything, but you know, we kind of like this was our trajectory today.
But that's kind of, I feel like that is the trajectory of templates too, where the more you play with one, the more you're like, okay, now I know how this feels and I want to try something new. Like this is exactly how I use templates. The first remix is usually like pretty safe and exactly the same. And then sometimes it's like, okay, now I've seen how one version of it looks. Let's try something new. And this totally worked. Which is lovely. And yeah, like we said, you can have a library of your favorite templates. That's one of my favorite tricks, or just scroll through your past projects and then remix from there, especially with the ability to add pages. You can just like build off of a project or duplicate anything. It's one of my favorite tricks.
Totally.
Yeah, awesome. This is amazing. Thank you so much. We literally have the perfect amount of time. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us today. The replay is available here, and all the links are in the description of the video. So if you want to remix this template and share it with us on social or in our Facebook group or Discord, please do. Thank you so much, Heidi, for being the first designer in our Get Social series. I would love to have you back. There's so much more we could talk about. And again, thank you so much to everyone who joined us in the chat. Please feel free to follow Adobe Express on social and follow the Adobe Express YouTube channel for more videos like this. And if you want to watch the recaps or the replays of our other videos or replay of this, you can find them all there. But yeah, thank you all to everyone who joined us today. Thank you again so much, Heidi.
Thank you guys. It was fun.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, you can find both of us on social. I am at Jordan Danae Ellis. And you can DM us on the Adobe Express channel, and we'll answer all of your questions or leave comments here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Have a really wonderful day. Bye, everyone.